Hey, Christy. Nice job here. I really like the way this is starting to turn out. So yeah, just a few suggestions and just a few, just a few little clarification comments from last week, pretty much. Uh, I would suggest beginning to refine these masks sooner than later, just because it's like there's then you can start adding some, levels and some other layer adjustments that will really make, them stand out a little bit more. So it's really good to really, delete, all of this stuff, all this white. And again, through here, just, quite a bit more refinement needs to happen here. And, then of course all the white backgrounds. And it's better to do this stuff earlier than later, because then you get more towards a final piece. So and a few things that I mentioned, I would still suggest, for example, splitting this up so they're two different pieces. So then you have, at least then you can move it around. So I would probably, take, this one here, and I think I already showed you all this stuff too. Or I would even just get another kind of speaker. It doesn't hurt to have variety. But if you want to stick with this one, even though I probably wouldn't, because it doesn't really look music related, it just looks like a piece of wood or something. But again, if you put it on its own layer, then you could, do something like, move it around, give it some, give it a little bit more personality than just having them both parallel. So again, you can just see it just ends up creating a little bit more dynamic of a piece as well. But again, you could even copy this one too, and the one that does look like a speaker. Let's see here. I'm just going to move this up here. You could even copy this though, because this really does look like a really cool speaker. Well, it is a speaker. So I mean, and again, if you could just copy this layer and then delete the other one. So I'm just going to copy it real quick. Oops. And I'm going to turn this thing off, and then I'm just going to, well, the best thing to do would be to delete it first. So you could just go in here and let's see which one that is. No, that's the one that's, oh shoot, sorry, it's being finicky here. Photoshop's not moving around. There it is. So then what I would do is I would then just delete this one here, again with this. This is really sloppy, so you would do a lot better work. So I'm just going to get rid of it, deselect, and then I'm going to also just turn this off, and then I'm going to copy this one. And then you've got two of these guys, so then you can, again, you can move them around to make them look kind of, just more different. And oops, where's the other guy? And then you could even do something, I'm not saying you want to do this, but again, then it gives it a little bit more animation. And it just makes it look more interesting. This is pretty head-on, but you could always make one of them bigger, because then it does kind of look, if they're bigger, it looks closer. So something like that even will add variety to it. And again, it just looks like speakers more than the thing that looks like wood. So that's a few things I would do. Again, I'm going to put all of this in one layer here, in one folder. Click the folder. Another thing I would do is I think I already said this last week, I would move this over. Oh, I'm losing that little mask thing. Well, it doesn't matter. I make it a little bit smaller. Just a little bit. Oh, I don't know where that thing is. And then what I would do is I would add, oh, I see you've got that image thing going on. I would put this into the negative space of here. I'd probably even move it, I'd probably rotate it even more, because then it really looks kind of like it's moving. And then what I would do with this, I would put each, I don't know about using, you know, some of these, the three-dimensional stuff, but I would move this, or, oh crap, that's right, forget it. Just going to get off this. I know how these are. I would put this down over here probably, but I would also split up each word into on 3 different layers. So then you could really move it around. And you can also use different fonts. It doesn't all have to be the same. This is a little bit hard to read. So, you know, and another thing you could do is you could go into DaFont and you could download a font that actually had a little bit more you know, movement and a you know something that kind of really complements your theme. So I mean, there's so many different things that you could do. That's kind of cool. There's so many different fonts on DaFont. You know, Fire, Ice. I don't know about any of these. Yeah, I don't like those. But there's just so many of them. Curly. You know, there's like, you know, how many pages? 18 pages of these, just this one curly font. Distorted is kind of a fun one to use. So even look at this one, this Stereodelic's kind of cool. You know, and if you click on it, you can see what all of it looks like. So, and you know, that's kind of cool really for what your theme is. So again, I would spend some time with this. It's not only about the grade, it's also about portfolio piece. So that's kind of why I really try to make people really think about this in terms of a portfolio piece, not just a grade. So that's what I would do, and I would probably move this whole, I don't know, I'd probably even move it like this. And again, the background's okay, but this seems like more of a modern looking guy. He looks pretty, you know, he's moving around, blah, blah, blah. You might want to continue to look for backgrounds. Even if you don't use the backgrounds, it could give you some ideas. Like this one is really cool. Let me see if it's, I mean, just this idea of these kind of musical notes just floating around. You definitely would have to change the size and the, you know, rotate them and stuff. But there's a couple other really cool images under that particular link. But, you know, I mean, there's always something like this that you could make yourself. But again, you don't want it to look, I think this one's even more successful because it's kind of, they're kind of clumping together and looking like a cool texture. So anyway, and you know, there's all kinds of stuff. So you might want to try to think of some other ways that you can, other than putting kind of that note parchment paper. Another thing you can do, and I wish the class went over more of this, this is this Brush Easy site. You can add a Photoshop brush too. So let's say you put music just to search. And I think I'll do a bigger tutorial on this later. So these are all brushes. So if you, any of these that you download, oh, this is, some of them aren't free. You have to find the free ones. Let's see. Even this one's kind of cool. Well, that's kind of cool, musical doodle brushes. But anyway, what you do is you download these brushes, and then they become, you load them into Photoshop, and I think I'll do a tutorial on this, and then you have them under your brushes. Like, so here's the brushes, and where they will appear is in all of this stuff. So if you look at the brushes, you know, air brushes, artist brushes, let's just look at what all these, okay. Oh, there's no sets for this one. I'm just going to say, no, I guess I don't have any loaded in here. I guess they didn't, that's too bad. They didn't load my old ones when I reinstalled this update. But anyway, that's another really cool way to get, you know, just to get more, you know, just more interest in there. And there's so many different brushes, and I'm kind of disappointed that my brushes, and I'll do a tutorial on that. So that's another thing I would consider doing. Yeah. So yeah, I think overall it looks really cool. I just think you need some minor things. We have a couple more weeks to go. Yeah, I mean, there's always this, you know, and I don't like any of these in here. If you look under this, you can also download more shapes too. The custom shape tool, there's musical stuff in there, but it really, when you pull this little thing down here, it really gets to look kind of corny. Where is it? You can also add new brushes here too. Let me see, I thought I had one in here. No. But you can also, I'll do a tutorial. Oh, there's this one. Well, there's a couple of them. So, and the brushes are similar. So, you know, if you have this selected and you put it on a new layer, you know, then you can just draw these. You know, and that's black, but you can do whatever. And then you can also, you know, change the size of these two and move them around and so on and so forth. And, you know, just add, this stands out too much, but, you know, just what it does really is it just makes your portfolio stronger, and it shows that you can use more tools, you know, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so yeah, I hope this was useful, and I'm going to try to do a tutorial of the brushes so you guys get a better idea. Okay.